Hey guys, welcome back to the Ice Project. Jordan, Simi in the building. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the Ice Project, Welcome to the Ice Project.
All right, former employee of YKTR, friend of mine again, former Mr. Grouse and a few Reds, Jordan, Simi. Welcome back, bro.
Thanks for having me, bro. Thank you.
What have you been up to for the past 6 months?
Man, I've been chilling, been kicking back, working on a few things, working on myself. Yeah, that's about it, really.
Yeah, obviously you started sort of the mental health check-in with Grouse and a few Reds, and I've sort of picked up and lent on that.
Yeah.
Mental health check-in, how are you?
Man, I'm good. Few ups and downs like over the past 6 months, but I feel like I'm starting to just get a bit more clear on my passion, my goals. So
What are your passions?
So I mean, I've been working on this my own little project for the past maybe 2 months. Do you mind if I talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called the Heart Gallery, because art gallery was obviously taken. So, and you know me, man, I love the idea of love. We always talk about relationships and stuff back in the day, and art is something that I love. And I mean, not just like actual painting, but just being a creative, being around creative people. And I told you I was working on starting a podcast around that, and I've been working on that, and I think probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks I'll launch it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much my main focus at the moment. Yeah.
So you seem like a little bit more chill than, obviously, when I think about YKT and I look back, it sort of felt like, I thought it was great at the time, but it was kind of a bit of a toxic environment now, wasn't it? And I think we've all sort of gone our own separate ways, and obviously like me and you, like our friendship was a little bit under stress for a bit, which was understandable, but we sort of come back together. You seem like a lot more chill now.
Yeah. I think one thing that I realized about myself was I was really good at like pointing the finger at other people for certain situations that would come about in my life, and sometimes it still tries to sneak in, but over the past 6 months I've had a really good time to reflect on a lot of things. Probably about 8-9 weeks ago, I was actually diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And I'm sorry to laugh. I just laugh when things are awkward. But that was, to be honest with you, the writing was on the wall. Like, a lot of people around me would be like, man, like, are you sweet? Like, but, my emotions were going up and down. And, just certain things I would make up in my head. And I think I'd burnt so many bridges. I was thinking to myself, like, I really need to go get this checked out, and met with some doctors, some specialists, and So
so obviously getting diagnosed with bipolar disorder, was it? Some people feel weird with labels. Some people feel like they get comfortable with a label. They're like, "Oh, this is the reason why." How did it feel for you?
It was sad because I felt like I had burnt a lot of bridges, but then also I had hurt a lot of people, not like physically, but just like a lot of people had, like even yourself, like a lot of people had put a lot of trust in me, a lot of they backed me and stuff like that, and I felt like I knew something was wrong, because some days I'd wake up and I'd be so positive, keen as, and the next day I'll wake up and I'd like genuinely wouldn't want to get out of bed and stuff like that. So I looked at it, and I was sad, because I was like, fuck, like, I should have listened to my close friends and family and probably try to sort this out earlier. But I was trying to, I was thinking like, maybe I'm just being negative, but it was a bit deeper than that. Now, I'm on medication. I'm not telling anyone to, do as you please. But for me, it's helped level me out in a way. Still crazy, but it's given me a lot of clarity, and it's made me want to look deeper into certain issues in my life. So
So you gotta like I don't know how much you've sort of loosely you use sort of humor to cover up a lot of things, and you've sort of touched on childhood trauma, and you've done therapy, which you've talked about openly.
Yeah.
Is that something you're just going to keep diving into? Because what I've found with people is like the ones that sort of I don't want to go too deep, but like a lot of people do have an element of childhood trauma, and I know your actual story. I know you haven't really opened up about it. But are you just going to keep diving into that and learning about that?
Well, nah, my thing, what I've realized now is that even I've actually used my childhood trauma as an excuse to sort of beeline out of situations that I've created, whether it be with relationships with partners, relationships with friends, or, you know, just situations in my life. So I've accepted that it is what that's in the past.
Yeah.
And I really want to focus on, you know, just like not using it as an excuse anymore. And it's exciting, and it's also sad at the same time, because I should have probably realized this probably about 5-6 years ago. But yeah, I mean, when you don't know something, you don't know something, and I've really like looked into certain things, and you know, I'm constantly asking myself before I do something, I'm like, why am I doing this? Is this going to be positive? Is this going to be a negative outcome? You know, and I still flirt with the line, but
yeah, I think you're always going to.
Yeah,
I think that's just who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I've got some like personal goals for myself that a lot of bridges that I want to rebuild within, like, you know, with family. Like I caught up with my dad actually over the 6 months.
Yeah.
Caught up with him straight away. He asked for the All Black jersey that was signed for me. But we caught up, and, you know, he was apologizing and stuff, and I just think I genuinely think life is just so short, and if you let things hold you down like it has for me for the past 5 years, I just feel like you're wasting your own time, you're wasting your own energy.
Fuck, that's like me, bro. There's some things I just can't let go, eh? Like
Yeah.
I've tried to. So say like the scope stuff, for example. Like I've let the situation go, but I just haven't quite like forgiven him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's times I've gone to text him a couple times, and like soon as I go to press send, it just doesn't quite like I'm like, oh, so
Yeah.
like I've still got heaps of learning to do as well.
Yeah, I with me, right? Like, you know, when you and I were arguing, and I go, well, you know, you're stuck with me for the rest of your life, like, and you like blocked me, and I'm just laughing to myself. But I'll tell you a personal story of mine, and, you know, when anyone's like, oh, what's your biggest regret? My biggest regret in my whole life was when Thomas, I call him my brother. We're a year apart, but he was my uncle. My dad's half brother. We were arguing because he stole a Walkman, like a CD, like, you know, those old
Yeah.
Walk CD players. And we were arguing, and, you know, he stole it off me, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And, you know, it was a big issue at home, and, well, not really, but, you know, at that time it was a big issue because he was living with us. And anyways, we ended up finding it in, you know, the granny flat at the back of our house, and you know, everyone was hating on him and stuff, and I was hating on him, and you know, he was trying to make amends with it. He's like, oh, you know, like, do you want to come and have breakfast with me? This was the morning, and I was like, no, I'm all good, man. The night before, he's like, you know, do you want to go down to the park and go for a walk and, you know, go kick the ball? And I'm like, nah, it's sweet. You know, when you're just off someone, you're like, nah, I'm all good. And then, you know, that morning, the breakfast, and then lunch, he's like, oh, cook lunch. I was like, no, I'm all good, man. Just like, fuck out of here. I was playing Xbox. And then that afternoon, he hung himself. And then for me, it was, and I found him. And for me, ever since then, it's just like that regret of like letting something so small like dictate how I like treated him. And like when you look at the scheme of it, it's like a CD player, you know, they're not even around anymore. You know what I mean? And I always regret. I'm like, I always think about it, and I'm like, man, maybe if I just fucking let bygones be bygones, because one thing you can't get back is that time when people leave your life, and it's like a cloud that just never leaves me, you know?
So you think about that all the time?
Yeah, I think about them all the time. Yeah. I think about it all the time. I think now I start to think about it when I I lie. You know, I'm always like, I always tell little white lies, as you know, because, you know, the truth hurts. But I try to keep that at the top of mind because, you know, like burning bridges is like something I've done for a long time, just because I've always been like a short-term player, not a long-term player, and that's what I'm trying to change now.
Is that the first time you talked about that? Probably.
Yeah, properly, yeah.
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 Because I remember, like, obviously, I know your sort of story.
Yeah.
Fuck, what was it like walking in on him?
Well, it was like, I remember it was probably about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was playing Xbox and I just had this like really weird feeling, and almost like I was like floating. And we lived out the back by the water, like this estuary. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I hadn't seen him for a while, you know, because he was annoying me pretty much for the past 2 days. And you go out the back and just kick back and like chuck a rod out or whatever, kick back by the water, go for a swim. And I remember walking out the back and like I looked to the left and then I looked to the right and he was like hanging up in the tree. And I stared at him for a bit because, yeah, it was pretty raw. It was like pretty raw because he literally was like, we grew up together since we were babies. And I just remember that whole situation, it sort of broke my heart for like a long time, you know. It broke my dad's heart. It pretty much broke our family up pretty much. So yeah, it's a weird thing. It just never leaves you, you know. It's like ex-girlfriend that like never, this is always around, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I've used that as an excuse for too long. I think I like not with anyone else, but just within myself. Like, oh, you know, fuck, you're sad. You went through this, you went through that. I feel like these past 6 months have actually just really helped me in a way of like to think about these things, sit down. Like, there's been lonely nights. Like, I'm pretty sure like during 1 week I didn't leave the house for like 5-7 days. Just sat inside for ages, and I was just yeah.
Do you know the hard thing about you, Simi, is it's hard to get a read on? Is like whenever like you're struggling, you just always turn it into humor. And then there's like, or like say we have like a serious confrontation, like we'll go heart to heart and then it starts to get heated. Like you'd always just sort of fall back on humor. So you just never quite know where you're at or like, fuck, do we need to check in on this dude? Because I remember one time, bro, Normie just kept bringing me, he goes, bro, where's Simi? I was like, I don't know. And he goes, bro, you need to go find him. Like I haven't heard from him in like 2 days. Like you need to go find him. But I think you just messaged me and you were just doing what you're doing. And it's just like, but the hard thing is like, you know, you just never know with people.
Yeah.
Because like you use humor to cover up a lot of things. And
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Like the 6 months have been hard. You know, there has been a few times where I've been in some really dark places, and like I believe I'm a survivor. You know, but I think I just remember that feeling of like when Thomas passed away. Just the devastation that it had on everyone else. It was almost like a pebble in the pond, and it just created all these waves, and it destroyed a lot of lives, and a lot of like, you know, I would say my dad probably has never recovered from it. So I think of that feeling. I think of Amelia and Cleo. I think about you guys, and I'm out of it now, which is grouse. I feel like it's really like people really struggle with finding that purpose, you know. And lucky for me, I'm around so many creatives, so many positive people, and that have been in similar situations. Like, you know, Caleb, for example, is doing amazing things. Like, you know, Normie, Chico, like, guy grew up in the village in Papua New Guinea. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't try to compare myself, but I'm like, I think about people around me if I ever get to that space. But then the bipolar situation, when now that I've been on my medication, I'm just like, holy shit. Like this is probably the most level, clear-minded I've ever felt in my life. It's almost like there's like a roof and all these emotions just like stop there.
Oh, okay.
Because usually it would be like sad, happy, horny. And then, I mean, if that's an emotion, but you know what I mean? And it feels really good.
Yeah. So you just like being like level all the time?
Yeah.
Question, does it sort of limit creativity? Because I remember when you used to fly,
Yeah.
and then obviously the ups and downs were the ups and downs, but when you were high, it was Felt like magic, eh?
Yeah.
You felt like you had elements where you felt untouchable and you could paint and you could create and like your content used to fly. Do you sort of miss that really high part?
I do, and I don't. I miss the confidence that I had. I feel like I lost a lot of confidence since taking this medication. Like I always second guess my art, second guess putting out content, second guess. Like I've been asked to go on heaps of podcasts and stuff, but I've been second guessing myself. And you know, like there's a lot of guys that like I've obviously gained like followers from YKTR that have messaged me like, fuck, when is your podcast starting? So these things have helped me, but it really stuffed with my confidence. But I think it just comes within like trying to manage it within yourself, like over time, you know, because I'd rather that than
The low lows.
fuck. Low lows were like shocking, eh? Like I just sit on the couch and like, you know, Normie's couch is comfy as, so I'll be stuck there for fucking days on end. But now I feel like I'm very leveled.
So the reason why you haven't been making content is just low on confidence? Is that
Low on confidence, but then also I didn't. There's a few reasons I didn't want to like people were like expecting me just to jump out and start doing my own content, start doing my own thing. But I mean, I wanted to find, you know, what I was interested in. I wanted to think about what I was putting out there, who I wanted to be, who I wanted my kids to look back on and go, fuck, like I'm proud of him for doing what he did. And I'm more so looking to like help people, inspire people, be a better friend, be a better father, and like put out content that actually is meaningful, funny, and, you know, a little bit scat here and there.
Yeah. I think
Have to.
There's a balance there somewhere, right? We just couldn't quite figure it out.
Yeah.
Why'd you leave YKTR?
Well, it was like mutual. Like I think my input, you know, wasn't really like it wasn't consistent. Grouse and a few reds sort of just became like it's a part of the furniture, you know, like oh, come in and just do it. That I wasn't really like putting 100% into it. Jacko as well was, you know, he was sort of always stuck in the middle, like fuck, I've got to come down and shoot this, but I don't want to piss off Ice. And you know, Jacko was, you know, always leaving his work till the last minute. Yeah. So, but I didn't feel. Not like a part of the team in a bad way. I just felt like I had, as I said, burnt bridges within the team that the trust was gone with, you know, asking me to join in on content, asking me to put out content, asking me to, you know, post Grouse and a few reds, all that sort of shit. So, and I was, you know, I just mentally wasn't in it, and I needed to step away.
All right, we're going to take a bit of a break from this podcast with Simi. This podcast is actually brought to you by Dr. V, former sponsor of Grouse and a Few Reds. As you see in the bottle, they're going for a bit of a rebrand. I actually love it. Looks a lot cleaner, looks sick. But we've actually had this product in our office for the past couple of years and something that I actually use. So in the afternoon, there's two things that I value. One is my brain and two is time. And anything that can help my brain and save me time, I'm going to use. And the time I like to use is actually in the afternoon, sort of that 1:30, 2 o'clock sort of time slot where you don't want to have a break from work because you're in a nice little flow. You don't want to go out and get a coffee and wait in line and drink a coffee, then try and get back into your workflow because it sort of messes it up. Obviously, having Dr. V's in the office, in the bear fridge goes bear, Dr. V, and water. Allows me to quickly go to the fridge, grab something cold, smack it. It's all natural. It's got nootropics in it, and it helps with mental clarity that helps me get through the afternoon. So for me, it's really, really important. Guys, if you do want to get some Dr. V in you, my favorite is the blue one. There's Bender Menders, there's different stuff, but for me, I just use it for clarity and focus and more so just flow. I want my days to flow, and this helps me get through it. So if you want to get on, jump on drv.com.au. I said it again, drv.com.au. Use my code ICE. I'll say it again, ICE. All right, back to the podcast. It was kind of like, it felt like after a while, like our office divided, you know what I mean? It was kind of like you and Caleb on one side. Jackson was kind of in the middle. He was friends with everyone. And then like Lukey and Scoper on the other side. And then I was just kind of like, you know, I don't like, bro, I look back, I didn't even know what I was doing, bro.
Yeah.
And I let everyone down because I used to just take off in my office and do my own thing because I enjoy working on my own. I just used to try and put things on other people. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you boys sort it out. Like,
Yeah, I think like obviously what you're going through, like I used to be, which is crack up. I used to like manage like almost, I'd say like 100 salespeople like at Fitness First and like in fashion at True Alliance when I worked there for a bit. I think one thing that you'll probably take away from all of this when you know potentially start getting new staff is like the freedom, the idea of freedom for everyone is really good, but unless people have like a financial buy-in to it, then it's not their product, so they're not going to give 100%.
yeah, for sure.
So you have to have someone like managing them in some type of way to get a result.
Yeah. And I've talked about this plenty since then. Like managing used to drain me. Like remember I used to go, bro, if you guys need anything, let me know. Yeah. Next day, like all the boys start
Scopes feet up on the desk,
Yeah.
on fucking dancing around making TikToks.
Bro, honestly, it was so much fun though. Like I think about it. There's times like I miss the small stuff. Like I miss like reason I missed you so much is because me and you used to just send memes to each other, and there'd be times I'll start to meme you, and then I'm like, oh, fuck,
Yeah.
guy pissed me off, man. just the like going for lunch and coffee and just talking shit. Like the
Yeah.
days used to go like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't productive, but bro, it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And I think it would just be one of those things we look back on and go like, fuck, that was a really special time in our life, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone helped both of us out in a lot of ways to learn a lot of things. And like at the time, maybe we don't look at it like that, you know, because we're upset or, you know, we're sad. And I seen when you put out those videos willy nilly, like when you were upset and the boys were leaving, I was like,
Were you laughing when I was crying? You wouldn't. Yes, you would have.
Nah. See, I care about people a lot, you know, and I do, and I unless I make you cry, then it doesn't make me happy, you know what I mean? But I seen it and I felt bad. I messaged you straight away, like, fuck, you know, catch up for dinner, and I just think, yeah, just try your hardest to look at it as a lesson, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, like I'm here now, I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. Like bro, honestly, did you see that coming?
No, actually I didn't see it coming at all. When I seen it, I thought it was like, what the fuck's going on here? But didn't see it coming at all. To be honest with you, I could feel frustration build up because, as you said, you liked working on your own and stuff, but within like sales and content, like if there's, I feel like if there's no like dartboard, then you know you can't throw the darts anywhere. Like
for sure,
it's just like shit. We, you know, what do we have coming up? What are we creating content for? I feel like we lost track of like, you know, potentially like the content side of things and the clothing side of things, you know, and I as I said, I don't think everyone apart from Lukey was like fully bought into like where we were going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like to be honest, with Lukey's stuff, you could sort of feel him start. Like when he left, like I saw that one coming. Like I saw it probably coming about 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, you could feel it. Yeah,
yeah, 100%. And like I understood that, and he wanted to go try his own things. But yeah, and I remember we used to have those meetings. I was like, fuck, we can only go so far with like kind of this crew that we had, and that's just as far as we could go, bro. To be honest, and like everyone's in a better spot now, which is cool.
Yeah, and I man, honestly, I say this to people, like if they're like, oh, you know, like, have you spoken to Ice about it? And you know, I say, man, I'm really proud of Ice because, like, you know, even though like shocking manager, like you've like, if you look at all of our lives, like as individuals, like, you know, Jacko, like had a lisp when he rocked up, didn't even like, he was a journalist, you know. Lukey, you know, was in finance. Like Scope had just finished his footy career. Like me, I was fucking sleeping on Normie's couch. And you look at us, all of us now, and we're all doing something pretty amazing. Like, you know, Lukey's in the NRL, Jacko's in the like Warriors.
Jacko's killing it. Their content's fucking elite, bro.
Insane, bro. Yeah. Insane. He's taken, you know, what he's learnt here, and he's pretty much just injected into the Warriors. And like, I would say that in years, like a few years down the track, all that content will grow the membership base, and then also it'll probably make it attractive for other players to go there, like because they can see what it's like to be a part of the Warriors. So
yeah, for sure.
But I look at it and I'm like, man, you should be really proud of yourself because you've created amazing opportunities, and you've taught a lot of people a lot of things. That
Do you know what? Like the thing that I can't really shake my mind at, like I stopped growing, you know what I mean? Like in that 2 years all the boys were here, and like think about it a lot, bro. And like I am proud that like, all the boys have gone out and done things, and obviously I wasn't happy how a lot of the things went down, but like I still stand back like, oh, that's cool, but like I feel like I stopped. So like I just look back, I'm like, fuck, what happened? What was if I spent that 2 years just focusing on myself and YKTR and where I'd be? But then in saying that, like everyone's like, I can hang my head with pride. I'll put my head up with pride and say I've helped some people.
For sure. You've helped people. You've helped like families, and I remember you saying like, you know, and I've read it before, like, you know, being a manager and managing people is like, it's a lonely place, like being a leader, and like it just comes with sacrifices and like, you know, juggling situations. And it's like, I think from this experience you'll go on to like, you know, lead other people in different directions, but then also be able to manage yourself within it, because you'll see like the red flags that pop up.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, it was like honestly some of the greatest lessons I've learned were through that time. Crazy.
Fucking dogs. No.
Nah, and like, bro, honestly, like you said, like bro, I half lost myself. Like I used to always just try and distance myself, and I don't know, man. I was pretty entitled at the time. Like everything was going my way, things were going my way. I always had money on me. I just going and just sort of seeing the environment, just doing what you were doing. So
yeah,
it was always going to happen. It was a shaky fucking ship.
Yeah, well,
It was a ship with holes in it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's just life, man. But I think, I mean, when you get a bunch of misfits in a situation, you know, and creatives as well, it's always going to happen. Creatives are always going to go their own way and try and create their own thing and create their own space and create their own vision on how they see things, you know. One
thing I thought I was always clear on, but it probably wasn't true, was that like I thought anyone could build their own business within YKTR. Like I remember I used to always push the boys, bro, like I'd sit with the guys, bro, you need to start your own business and do your own thing. And I was saying to Lukey, and obviously they went out and done it on their own eventually, but I always thought they could build that on top of YKTR, but maybe I don't create the right environment for them to think so.
No, I don't think it. Well, the thing is, when you have a clothing aspect in the business, like in media, it's hard because there's always the clothing overhanging everything. Like, well, I mean, not overhanging everything, but it's there where, like, say, Barstool Sports, right? They don't have a clothing company, so they do. Well, like they do, but like, I mean, it's almost like separate. Like all these other podcasts are like
their own entity. But eventually, like, that's kind of what I wanted to do, where like, but that's like Grouse is yours, you guys own that, and then eventually, but we're all still part of like the same crew, you know what I mean? So that's how I saw it happening. But obviously got like Artie and Cheese, and I've made it very clear. I'm like, bro, I'm glad you guys are a part of YKTR and doing what we're doing, but I want to build stuff for you that you can take past your football career. Yeah. So I think I didn't communicate. I thought I was communicating that to you guys, but I don't think I was. Yeah, and the space as well that was created was like a comfortable environment. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, okay, like sit down with them, like, well, what are your goals? What do you want to start? What type of business do you want to start? Okay, cool. This is how much like money you're going to need. This is where we're going to, you know, and it's like holding people accountable to those like KPIs every day. Yeah. Like you have to hold them accountable every day. And plus majority of the people that were a part of it, we never really worked properly in our life. Like I was like, you know what I mean? I was like playing up, and Scope was playing footy willy-nilly, and Caleb was young, and, you know, Jacko was a journalist, and, you know, journos, they're fucked. And then like Lukey was the only one with probably a good work ethic that can hold himself accountable, like, you know, and obviously Jacko as well to a certain extent. But I think it was, when you have people like that, you have to have someone straight off the bat managing them consistently. Yeah, agree. Because like if I just wasn't that guy. I don't like being that guy. Like I used to, like, I mean, if like, it used to be draining telling people what to do. Like I thought, like, I'm sure you can figure this out on your own. Yeah. And it's just finding someone like obviously Tash just had a 5-year holiday, so
So, you know, it would have been nice if she came back earlier. Nah. Man, when's Tash coming back?
Yeah.
And I remember you'd say that all the time. But I mean, yeah, like if you look at it, it's like a big clean out, and it's nice, man. It's refreshing, you know. It's like you look back and you go, fuck, we created some absolute beasts. You know, I was interviewing the #1 UFC fighter in the world, you know.
That's sick,
and if you go back to like the roots of everything is like YKTR, you know. So I try to look at it like that. And, you know, even if you and I had our falling out, I'll always look at it like that.
Fuck, I remember when we were like, when I was angry at you, I was like, fuck,
Stop saying we.
I started thinking, fuck, wish I could fight, man. I'll fucking knock that cunt out.
Yeah.
Got some great verbal though. Holy shit,
Man,
one of the great verbal jabs in the world.
I'd call Normie and Chico up, man, and just go, I'd be wasted, man. Get this guy off my back, man. Normie's like, I'm working on it. But yeah, understandable. But yeah, well, I'm always grateful for my time here. So
When are those boys coming back? Well, fuck, what are they up to, man?
honestly, man, it's like
Normie's lived the life, eh?
Normie has lived the absolute life. And then, you know, I look at it like, fuck, when I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to love. Like, man, that guy's like happy as, like, mad relationship, like, you know. And so they're just over there vibing, and it's like, I'll call them, I'm like, it's about time, man. You guys got to come back. Like, surely you guys got to come back now.
Probably the happiest I've seen Chico in a while. Like, we talk like probably like once a week, just small talk here and there. But he's just, bro, he's so happy, bro. And that's what he's always wanted to do, travel, be live free.
Yeah.
He's got his girl there at the moment, so
Yeah. And he's,
cook chicken about 1,000 different ways. I sent him this chicken recipe the other day. He's like, yeah, gun.
oh man, he's
What's he up to, man? What's Chico doing?
Nah, you know what's cool about Chico, bro, is he, I feel like the first time he went over to overseas, he was like at the top of his game, so he didn't really get to, didn't really like smell the roses, you know. He didn't really stop and enjoy the little things over there.
He had FOMO because he just
yeah.
kept looking back here, and like me
Exactly.
and Norm was having a mad time.
Yeah. So I think now he's over there, you know, the footy's not as serious, and he's getting an opportunity to spend it with someone that he likes, and you know, he's enjoying smelling the roses, I guess.
Yeah, I think
A bit too much. Pissing me off.
we were saying this the other day. We think I think Normie was kind of like the glue for everyone. You know what I mean?
Me and
like,
Normie,
so
yeah.
you and Normie were close. Chico and Normie are probably closest. I'm probably closest with Normie out of all the boys. Scope and Normie were the close, and he's just kind of like that calming influence. You know what I mean? Where like I'd snap and just fucking go bang, and like he's probably like the only guy that could sort of half calm me down.
Yeah.
Jeez, you're carrying on here.
I'll be crying, man. I'll be crying drunk out. Like, fuck, man. And he'll be like, stop, man. Stop. Go have a shower, man. Go to bed.
Yeah. Well, funny thing is, but even if you like, you know, used to fall back on like childhood trauma excuses, he's just call them out straight away. Eh?
Straight away.
You're not still using that, are you?
Yeah. He's So it was hard to go to him to use any of those excuses when you've used them too many times.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for them to come back, man. I think it's going to be like when you put out that bit of content of Normie, I just thought, fuck, if these are the signs, time to come. Stay over there, man. Stay in France.
But he didn't go too far off, bro. He was like 7 from 8 too, the cunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro. He got one wrong.
What was it, the Raiders?
Nah, the Raiders won.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to be, everyone knows it's the pits down there. It's going to be freezing. Fucking hottest day in Canberra in a decade.
The OG.
So you're sort of around the scene on the social media, love life. What's going on?
Man, single, unfortunately. Lost the love of my life again. Damn it. Nah. You know, we try. You know, me and Simi. Obviously, she's upstairs. If I could jump through this roof, man, I would. Do it right now.
She's literally right above us.
She's right
now,
above us, man.
Yeah.
Damn. That's heartbreaking. But
is that why you wanted to come to the office early today?
Nah. I was boxing around the corner, but you know, few drive-bys for sure. I'm single now, man. But it just got down to like, I know I'm not ready to be in a relationship with my I need to like unpack a lot of things because I just feel like I take a lot of those issues into relationships. So yeah, I'm just going to stay single for a bit and, you know, focus on the Heart Gallery and, mad, eh?
Yeah,
And,
sounds cool.
just going to focus on that, man. And I really want to, I want to do some traveling this year. I want to take.
Because you're not a big traveler, are you?
Nah, I just never had the money. And if I have, it's fucking gone on Friday and Saturday. Nah. But I want to take my kids back to New Zealand. I've got a lot of things to make up for, and that's what I'm focusing on now.
So you're trying to make up for time lost.
Make up for time lost, bridges burnt, and even Sammy and I like trying to stay friends as well. Like I've never been friends with the ex, and I
Yeah.
mean, what I've learnt of her, she has a lot of impact in my life, like you have, like Normie has, like just showing me things that I'd never experienced before, like family, Christmas, like
Yeah.
she'd be, I'm going to my family's house on Sunday, and I'll be like,
What's that?
we're like, why are you angry at me or something? You know what I mean? Like shit like that, bro. So like, I'm trying to read in about that sort of stuff, and it's exciting for me. And I know there's a lot of young men out there that have that same type of like weird, drama. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time we were in the car and we just hired Caleb, and I started loosely telling him about his childhood and stuff. You're like, man, you can attract a straggler, man.
A few stragglers for sure.
Yeah.
One thing about that guy, man, I was just like, what he's gone on to do, bro, is like
Pretty inspiring, eh?
very inspiring, man. Very inspiring, and it reminds me of this, like when I first put out my art thing, and I remember he put out one of his like, trying to motivate people, and you initially have like a little giggle, you're like, shut up, man, and it just gets to a point where like,
Yeah.
you start to attract people that are in the same mind frame, same thinking space, and fucking that want to move in that direction, and I feel like he's just done such an amazing job, and he's inspired me as well.
Bro, he's crazy. Like when he comes in, it's like, bro, it's like you're talking to a completely different person. Just the way
Crazy.
like carries himself, bro.
For sure, yeah.
I was like, fuck, you're 6'3" standing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just the way he speaks, bro, it's like
Yeah.
the transition in like a year, crazy.
Crazy. I mean, even after a few months, man, he was just, I think he's just so focused, and he's found his why. So it's like, he'd probably be your biggest success story so far out of everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice fucking
Killing it. He was like on the podcast, he was talking about like, yeah, the boys used to like never want to make content and stuff, and I was just thinking, behind the scenes where I used to tell the boys to stay away, to like not put any more pressure on you. Like we used to do stuff like that. So there's stuff he didn't realize that like you done for him, and Scope was a big part. Like those times when Caleb come in, he was crook as, and Scope used to drive him home all the way out west, bro. That's like fucking hour there, hour back. I think he realizes it with me, but I don't like. I think he'll slowly realize before you boys, and how much of an impact you guys had on him too.
Yeah.
The hard thing was I used to have all the big, like, really tough conversations. We were in this
For
room,
sure.
bro, and he had this anxiety attack, and I was like, I went to go grab him, bro. Cunt was fucking strong as.
Strong, man.
But like strict, like, bro, shaking, and I was like, bro,
Yeah.
come here. Bro, and I just realized how strong the cunt was.
Yeah, he's got that fucking country strength.
Yeah.
But
Horny as too, little bugger.
horny bugger.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
You've been getting about. The time everyone tried to cancel you, that was, bro,
Yeah.
that, out of everything I've been through in business, like, I never witnessed the backlash, and I didn't cop much of it. YKTR copped a bit of it, but obviously you copped the. That was a long week, eh?
Yeah, it was like probably like 2 or 3 months for me. There's like, we spoke about it then when we went for a few drinks. It was a hard situation because I actually love where I come from. I love being Samoan, Māori, and it's like looking at that situation, I was like, it sucked because I'd always been big on inspiring young Islander men and women. So for me I just remember that day I came in and I was just like, fuck, I was just within myself. I was like, oh, fuck this shit. Like I was angry, and shit was going south at every other like with everything else. And I just came in with a really bad mentality, and I said those things, and we talked about oh man, we should have cut that out and stuff like that. But I think when you look at the bigger picture, like if you're saying things like that, then you're not in the right mental space. Like you're not in the right position to be putting out content, talking about mental health, talking about anything. If you're talking like that about certain situations, like even joke or not, or it's just, yeah, but it was a hard week, man. I got like thousands of messages.
Bro, when I was going on that night, when it started to really cook off, like, I kind of wish we fronted it a little bit quicker. But that night, I remember, like, I don't know what your one was going off, but every time I hit YKTR on the inbox bar, it'll go. Brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr.
Yeah,
it was scary,
crazy.
yeah. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, cancel YKTR, fuck these dudes.
Yeah, I felt really bad as well because, you know, you think about the lifeline that you guys gave me and stuff, and it's like that selfish. I look back, man. I've been very selfish in my whole life, man, and that was one of those situations where I was like, fuck, like you've put the company that sort of saved your life in harm's way, and I'm very protective as well of like people around me, and I sort of was like, I looked at that and I felt so bad about it, and yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I know one day I'll like properly rectify it in my own way, within my community and stuff. But it was a massive learning. It was a massive learning situation for me. Like it was honestly crazy. Like even like I don't go on TikTok much, and my TikTok was like the comments like thousands and millions of views, and
Yeah.
islanders around the world like inboxing me, commenting on my shit. You're a piece of, like, it was fucking crazy, you know.
Like even like death threats, bro. Death
Yeah,
threats are
yeah.
fucking-
Like my
that's scary.
My
bro.
family back in New Zealand, like my cousin got into a fight, altercation over there for it. But my outlook on it now is like, okay, if I'm able to say something that can hurt so many people and be so disrespectful to like hundreds of thousands of millions of people viewing and commenting on it, I'm like, if I'm able to find a way to put out something positive, and then that's a million plus people that I can put out to, you know what I mean? They're there. The people are there to talk to.
Do you know what, bro? You know what I reckon you could really shine is like, and it's sort of in that art space where, like, you know, we grew up as Islander kids. It's like you have to play football or
Yeah, football or something. Yeah.
or rap.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, be like Dawn Ray. Like we saw that as kind of like a pathway, or the other way is like be a gangster.
Yeah.
Where like now there's Islanders doing things like I'm doing business and like
Creative.
creative is like a really big one. You look at like that Paris chick who does like dancing.
Yeah,
like,
she's crazy. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some wonderfully talented Polynesian artists. Even like someone like Taika Waititi, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's moldy,
Moldy,
full
yeah.
moldy.
Yeah.
He's dominating the Hollywood space. So there's like,
It's there, bro. It's there, and that's all. I said it on a podcast with Ronaldo, actually, the one before the podcast that I did. I said an opportunity within myself to create something for Islander kids to be creatives, not just create a space, but also opportunities. Like get Taika to, you know, create a space for directors, people who want to direct movies and create short films, and, you know, people like artists. Like I look after an artist space or like a business space yourself. Like there's so many Islander males and females that can influence this. And I think it's like earning a right to like talk about it, bring people together, you know, before you're like, hey, let's create this space, and they're like, man, you just created dramas.
yeah, for sure.
So
And like I think Māori, Polynesian boys, brown people in general, naturally quite creative as
Yeah.
it is, and
Yeah.
we kind of box ourselves into a certain category because like you know when you start showing off back home and the boys like stop being bots or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know that sort of thing. So sometimes we think we don't belong on like a world stage.
No,
Yeah.
and I do look at it now though. I think it's that narrative's changing. Like I think you're seeing all these amazing, you know, Māori, Samoans, other Tongans, like Islanders thrive, and I think like social media has had a big part to play in that, because you have to. Back in the day, you'd have to dream about doing these things, like think like, oh man, that's the unthinkable. But you start seeing Sonny Bill go out and kill it. You start seeing like, you know, the All Blacks go out and kill it. But then you start seeing like, you know, that Paris chick, other people go out and kill it in a different space, and it's like it's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited for, you know, what's to come for everyone, man.
I think it's cool that you sort of opened up about your sort of journey today, because a lot of the times you look at like Polynesian boys and what are you, 6'4", 5"?
Yeah, about 6'6".
You're a fucking big cunt. Let's just put it that way. But like when you look at you, like you expect this guy to be tough and strong, like, you know what I mean. But it's okay for us boys to be vulnerable. You know.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it is, and it's hard too. It really is. You know, it's like I grew up in like a really like, you know, fucking you know, so I don't, but I'm like the least like
Yeah.
angry person, you know, like I try and be as chill as possible, but, yeah, man, there's a lot of opportunity out there to inspire and help change people's lives. But what I've realized is that I need to inspire myself, change my life first before you can start filling up other people's buckets. You know?
Yeah, I think that's what I sort of realized over the past couple of weeks is like just focus on yourself and you sort of start to attract the right scenarios or situations, and
Yeah.
that's been happening for me lately. And it's just kind of evidence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I spend so much time trying to solve everyone else's shit. You just
Yeah.
forget about yourself sometimes.
Yeah, I've been living by this this quote, you know, chopping wood and carrying water.
What's that mean?
It's just like, just focus on the process, you know, enjoy the small things,
Yeah.
and everything else will happen. Chopping wood, carrying water.
Philosophical, Simi, I like it.
Yeah.
Boxing, what's going on?
I'm a fucking beast now, man. I'm not
Are you?
gonna lie.
Are you nice? Are you nice?
My fitness is still shocking, but I want to chat. So Josh Alloway,
He can fight though, can't he?
yeah, he can. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it's like that's probably like one of those things where people like don't do it, but hey, man, money talks, you know. So him and I had a chat about jumping in the ring, and I know he's obviously a beast. He was going to fight Paul Gallen, and I think due to injury or something like that, he had to pull out. But him and I have had a chat about it, and it's not that like, oh, yo, let's fight. It's like, you know, like,
I'm keen to test myself against someone
yeah,
like you.
yeah. Let's you know, create some content. Let's fucking make some money and let's bang. And I think for me, I need that. I've been boxing every day for the past 3 weeks. I feel good. And him, and I know that Jason Tomololo was talking about having a fight eventually. And he's an absolute beast of a human being. I'm not trying to be a hard, like these are just the only people that I would like to fight, because I like, you know, when I fought Justin Hodges, it's like that stage and stuff. Like
You enjoyed the big stage?
yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy testing myself.
Are you going to get that haircut again?
Oh my days, bro! That haircut almost took me out of the fight. The barber knocked me out before I even jumped in the ring.
Imagine if you go, oh, Simi's pulled out. What for? Grade 3
Bro,
fade.
because Caleb was with me and I was sitting there, man, and my head was hot, bro, and I was like, "Oh my god, you've fucked me."
You can feel when they go too high, on the fade.
Straight off the bat, man, he just went bang, and I was like, "Where is he gonna go after that?" Like,
Yeah.
you cut up to a certain point, and then you start fading it, and he was already up here. So I was like, "Nah, bro, he's fucked it." But what I did last year, the Bulldogs thing, reading in front of like 15,000 people, I can't read. They gave me the script on the day. That was the most nerve-wracking, craziest thing I'd ever done. So for me to do that, I was like, okay, these certain situations are going to help me become a better person. So then fighting Hodges, you know, like,
You're kind of like the OG Olin Tickers, eh?
yeah, without the accent, but like doing that, and then, you know, fighting Hodges, and then, you know, I interviewed for My FM, and you know, interviewing Alex Volkanovski. Like, all these things are just so out of the way for like I knew they were going to help me grow as a person.
Yeah.
So like I have to keep doing these things in order for me to challenge myself.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people are like, man, why are you doing that? Like, why would you fight, you know, for example, Jason Tomololo, like, why would you fight him? It's like, why not? Like, why? Like,
Yeah.
you live one life, man. You look back and you want these stories and you're like, fuck, I did this, I did that. And hopefully it eventually turns me into a better man, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Anything boxing coming up soon, or are you just going to wait? Because obviously all those boys are in season, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all in season. There is chats for like a retired player that I could potentially fight, but like not talking any shit or anything. Like I feel like I'm not. I don't want to fuck around with like little fights like that.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm not like the best boxer in the world, but like I like big stage. I like big stadium, heaps of people there, cameras. You know what I mean? The fire, the flames, the music.
That no limit experience, isn't it? They do it well, eh? They do it well.
Yeah, man. They did it like a little fight thing a few weeks ago. That was fucking pretty awesome. So I don't know. There's potential for like me fighting this old ex-Bulldogs player. I can't remember his name, but he can throw them. But yeah, I'm more so focusing the end of the season. Like I really want to get to the end of the season and be an animal.
Someone like Junior Paulo, or is he?
For some reason he scares me.
Yeah.
The others like they don't scare me, but for some reason he scares me. I don't know what it is. Every time he like we have every
Is he too nice? It's like he's really a nice dude, eh? It's just
nice
like,
dude,
but he'll fuck you up. That's
yeah,
the thing.
yeah. It's that he's just got that thing in his eye that I'm like,
That
nah.
Southwest look,
Nah,
that
bro,
Southwest
yeah.
Sydney look. It's
Yeah,
like, shit.
yeah. So yeah, I've the boxing for me as well. It's given me sort of like an anchor for my day. All right, like that's where I'm going to go to train, and afterwards, man, as you know, like endorphins are pumping and that sort of sets my day up for everything else to come about. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do want to fight again. I just can't let go of that loss, eh?
UFC, would you jump in a UFC ring? Is there like, is that a thing? Like, you know, No Limit do the boxing stuff.
Nah, not so much UFC, but there are like other MMA. I've been talking about having an MMA fight too, because I used to dabble a bit back in kickboxing.
You kick
Shout
her,
out.
you kick her right.
Yeah. So, yeah, my main thing is I need to win. But the funny thing with that, right? I don't think I've spoken about this. The funny thing with the boxing experience, for me, it was genuinely like I wanted to tell Sammy on a big stage, like, man, I love you, you know, in front of the country, in front of, you know, whoever's watching around the world. I just wanted to tell her, like, hey, like, I love you. Let's work this out, you know, try and be somewhat of a romantic guy. And I kid you not, there was so many articles and stuff like toxic masculinity and stuff like that. Yeah, and it was a weird experience. But man, who knows, man? Maybe I have to do something else for it, you know.
Yeah. So you get in boxing to try and get Sammy back again?
No, I've got something else installed.
All right, we're just going to do a quick Q&A. I think this will work, but let's just try it anyway.
G'day, boys. This one's mostly for Simi. No offense, Ice. I know you're the money man. What I want to know is, how does Simi pull such fit birds? Cheers, boys.
One of the great questions.
Have you ever heard of the saying? Nah. Honestly, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, man. Like I'm not like the hottest guy in the world, but I don't know. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I think they probably see a project and it's like, man, maybe we can change this guy. And I think that's like with a lot of people in my life. You know, they see like a lot of what do you call it, like potential.
Yeah.
And maybe they see that in me. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm grateful for it, but I mean, it's hard. It is hard.
Shut the fuck up.
No, it's hard, bro. It's hard to it goes back to what I say. Like if your cup's not full in regards to finances, in regards to family, in regards to mental health, in regards to, like, you know, it's not always going to be full, but everything's not always going to be ticked. But you can get the most beautiful girl in the world, like nicest girl in the world, but if you're not like sweet within yourself, then it's just never going to work. And that's pretty much what's happened in the past with me. Not with all of them, but like majority of the breakups came from, you know,
There's a common denominator, isn't there?
it's them. No. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know, to be honest with you, man. I think it's just like my mannerisms. I'm boisterous. I'm fucking 10 out of 10. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's
I got a big nose though, so it's like I don't know.
Yeah, just like I've hung around Geordie a lot. Like it's a combination of like, obviously he stands out in the East, like big, tall, good-looking Islander guy. But then it's just chat, man. He's got fucking some elite chat. Gets him laughing pretty quickly. Do you know what he does? He pays himself out first, and then sort of does that. I'm giving away your secrets there, but I don't know. He just gets him laughing pretty quickly and good chat. And
Buy my book.
I've just released an ebook.
Yeah, I just released an ebook, How to Pick Up a Glamour. No.
Yeah.
No. But I think it is. I think it's. I don't even know, man. Like I genuinely don't know. You know, I look at Sammy and go, fuck. Like even my dad, you know, just like, what the fuck, you ugly cunt.
All right, next question.
G'day, boys. All right, Simi. Now that you've been, out and about, being able to, go around the block, dabble in the dark arts without any repercussions. What have been some pros or cons since leaving, kind of the YKTR banner and doing your own thing?
Pros and cons since leaving.
Pros and cons since leaving. Pros was I had a lot of time to like sit with myself and just like sort of weigh everything up, and like I've constantly blamed others for like my demise, but this situation, this time, I've like really like gone, fuck, this is your fault, and then I've unpacked a lot of other things. So the positives for me were like, sitting back and like actually looking at the picture and going, fuck it, like it's my fault, and with everything in my life pretty much. So that was the positives. Got to dabble in the midweekers without work the next day. No. And the negatives I felt like let a lot of people down. It put a lot of financial stress on myself. Put a lot of stress on my relationship because I didn't really have anything rocking at the time. Like the negatives were just like, as I said, burning bridges with yourself. Like I've always had this mentality, like, as I said, I'll always be a part of your life, but I would love to change that to like just never ever putting any of my friends in the situation of going like, fuck you, So there was a lot of negatives in that regard, but the positives did outweigh the negatives for me, like in having time to sit within myself.
Yeah. Good answer. Next one.
How's your love life going, Simi? We haven't seen any ladies on your Insta lately.
Playing low, aren't you?
Yes, stay single, not doing anything, man. I just don't want to put myself out there again, Unless
We sort of touched on it a little bit earlier, so hopefully that sort of covers it. Oh, last one.
Look, I know you don't like the bloke, but can you just bring Simi back for all of us? We miss him. Just bring him back. Please, man. Please.
What a voice, man. What are you going to do, bro? What do you want to do?
Content-wise, like as I said, I've started the Heart Gallery.
So what does the podcast look like? Are you interviewing like artists, or
I'll be interviewing like interviewing pretty much anyone that I feel like interviewing. But the podcast is more so just like the foundation for like the bigger picture. Like I feel like I've got a lot of ideas that I now have like a network of people that I can collaborate with, and I've got like an investor that wants to get things off the ground for a certain percentage of the company, and I just want to try my own thing. I've always thought about, I love YKTR. I feel like I'm the R in YKTR. You know what I mean? We've always said that, you and I. So like, would I ever say no? But I think for the both of us, like you've said no, but I think for the both of us, it's like it's just a new journey. You know what I mean? It's a new thing, and I always said to you, I'll always jump in content whenever, like whenever you want to shoot content, I'll jump in content. Like YKTR is like home for me. So it's like you leave home, you buy, you move into another house, you do your own thing, but home is always home. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
you've been working on that line, haven't you?
Nah.
No, yeah, I don't know. From my sort of standpoint, like I happen to do content with Simi. It's just like, what does it look like, or how often is it? That's sort of just the conversation. Obviously, like we're talking here for like an hour.
Okay, money. Give me like on that Bitcoin.
Ripple at the moment is flying. Yeah, like our content's always flowed. A lot of content with Simi, with anyone. If he's in the right space, it's always been good. Like you and Jackson used to fly. Obviously, you and Scope, when you guys had your we used to do those little challenges. Fuck, that shit was fun, eh?
Yeah.
And then obviously we just sort of half pay each other out, and this has just been like a little bit deeper. But I think there's always going to be opportunities, and obviously I'll think of you first if anything. Like that saying, like we want to hang around people that speak your name in a room full of opportunities. Like if there's anything that ever it's like, oh, Simi be way better at this, I'll just throw it your way.
Yeah.
Won't be much, but
Throw you straight under the bus, you cunt. Nah, but yeah, man, as I said, I'll always jump in content with YKTR, but I just feel like
We need
like,
Normie back, eh? You and Norms
Yeah.
would be the giggle.
I'm 31 now, and I think like it's time for me just to like stop relying on others and just really give something a good crack, give it 100%, you know. And I want to look back on if I'm able to one day create something like like this, like YKTR, and look back on it and just fucking just tell everyone I told you so, you know. Not yourself and stuff, but like people that sort of like took themselves out of my life. So
Yeah.
Ferrari. No.
All right, my friend. Thanks for jumping on.
And thank you for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
Good to see you happy and healthy, my friend.
No, likewise, man.